Welcome to our channel. Today we will discuss some of the most dangerous and tragic shipwrecks in history. From the depths of the Atlantic to the coasts of continents, the sea, while a source of life and wonder, can also turn treacherous in the blink of an eye.
The night was moonless, the air bitterly cold. A stillness hung over the North Atlantic, broken only by the rhythmic pulse of the Titanic's engines, propelling her towards her destiny. On board, a microcosm of society, millionaires in their opulent staterooms, immigrants huddled in steerage, all dreaming of new lives in America. Then, at 11:40 p.m., the unthinkable. An iceberg, a shimmering monolith in the darkness, appears on the horizon. The unsinkable Titanic, ripped open beneath the waterline, begins her descent into the icy abyss. Over 1,500 souls were lost that night, their cries swallowed by the vast indifference of the ocean, leaving an enduring scar on the world's psyche.
The Baltic Sea in winter is a cruel mistress. Frigid winds whip the waves into a frenzy, and the icy grip of the water is unforgiving. The Wilhelm Gustloff, once a symbol of Nazi leisure, was now a desperate vessel of escape for thousands fleeing the advancing Red Army. January 30th, 1945, the icy breath of fate descended upon the Wilhelm Gustloff. In the gathering gloom, a Soviet submarine, lurking beneath the waves, spotted her silhouette. 3 torpedoes, their deadly intent hidden beneath the waves, slammed into the ship's side. The Wilhelm Gustloff slipped beneath the waves, taking with her an estimated 9,000 souls, marking the single largest loss of life in maritime history.
The Philippines, a tropical archipelago where the sea is both a lifeline and a source of livelihood. But on December 20th, 1987, the waters around the islands turned deadly, transforming a journey of hope into a nightmare of fire and despair. The MV Dona Paz, a passenger ferry, was making its way through the Tabla Strait, its decks teeming with people returning home for the Christmas holidays. As darkness fell, the Dona Paz encountered the oil tanker Vector. What followed was a collision of catastrophic proportions. A spark ignited the spilled oil, turning the sea itself into a raging inferno. Flames shot skyward, engulfing the Dona Paz and the Vector in a deadly embrace. When the flames finally died down, the MV Dona Paz and the Vector were gone, taking with them over 4,000 souls. The Dona Paz disaster serves as a chilling reminder of the importance of maritime safety and the devastating consequences of negligence.
Chapter 4. Mess Estonia, a nation in mourning. The Baltic Sea, often shrouded in mist and mystery, holds within its depths tales of both beauty and tragedy. Its waters have witnessed countless stories, but none as harrowing as the one that unfolded on a fateful night in 1994. One such tragedy unfolded on the night of September 28, 1994, claiming the MS Estonia and hundreds of lives in a disaster that sent shockwaves throughout Europe. The event remains etched in the collective memory of the nations bordering the Baltic. The MS Estonia, a large cruise ferry, was making its regular journey from Tallinn, Estonia, to Stockholm, Sweden. It was a route familiar to many, a journey that promised safety and routine. On board were families returning from holidays, business travelers, and young adventurers, all lulled into a false sense of security by the gentle rocking of the ship. The atmosphere was one of relaxation and anticipation for the journey ahead. As the night deepened, a fierce storm gathered strength, unleashing its fury upon the Baltic. The once calm sea turned into a maelstrom, with waves crashing violently against the ship. A loud metallic bang echoed through the ship, signaling a catastrophic failure. The bow visor, designed to protect the ship from the elements, had buckled under the immense pressure. This failure set off a chain of events that would lead to disaster. Seawater surged in with terrifying speed, flooding the car deck and trapping those below. Panic ensued as passengers and crew realized the gravity of the situation. Within an hour, the MS Estonia slipped beneath the waves, taking with her 852 souls. The speed at which the ship sank left little time for rescue or escape. The Mayday calls, desperate pleas for help, were lost in the roar of the storm. The tragedy of the MS Estonia remains one of the deadliest maritime disasters in peacetime Europe, a somber reminder of the sea's unforgiving nature.
Chapter 5. SS Sultana, a river of tears. The Mississippi River, America's lifeblood, a waterway that has witnessed history unfold along its banks. The SS Sultana, a side-wheel steamboat, was making its way up the Mississippi, its decks overflowing with Union soldiers recently released from Confederate prison camps. These weary men, their bodies weakened by years of war and captivity, yearned for home, their hearts filled with the promise of reunion with loved ones. On April 27th, just north of Memphis, the inevitable occurred. With a deafening roar that shattered the stillness of the early morning, the Sultana's boilers exploded, tearing the ship apart from the inside. Those who survived the initial blast found themselves fighting for their lives in the cold, swift current. The Sultana disaster, one of America's worst maritime tragedies, unfolded in the shadow of a nation still healing from the wounds of war. Chapter 6. Cap Arcona, a floating prison, a fiery tomb. In the dying days of World War II, as the Allied forces closed in and the Nazi regime teetered on the brink of collapse, a horrifying act of inhumanity unfolded in the waters of the Baltic Sea. The chaos of war had reached its peak, and desperation was in the air. The Cap Arcona, a German luxury liner, once a symbol of elegance and grandeur, became a floating prison, its decks crowded with concentration camp survivors. These survivors, already weakened and traumatized, were crammed into the ship under dire conditions. On May 3, 1945, as the rumble of Allied artillery echoed in the distance, British aircraft appeared in the sky above the Cap Arcona. The sight of the planes brought a mix of fear and hope to those on board. The British pilots, unaware of the human cargo below, mistook the ships for enemy vessels and attacked. They believed they were striking a blow against the remnants of the Nazi fleet. Rockets and cannon fire rained down on the Cap Arcona, turning the once luxurious liner into a fiery inferno. Flames engulfed the ship, and chaos erupted as people tried to escape the burning vessel. The Cap Arcona, the Thielbeck and the Deutschland, transformed from symbols of Nazi pride to floating tombs, sank beneath the waves, taking with them an estimated 7,000 lives. The sea became a graveyard for those who had already endured so much suffering. The prisoners, mistaking the RAF planes for their liberators, rejoiced, their hopes briefly flickering amidst the despair. Their joy was short-lived as the reality of the attack set in, turning their moment of hope into a fight.
Chapter 7, USS Indianapolis, Alone in the Abyss. The vastness of the Pacific Ocean, its surface a deceptively serene expanse concealing a world of unimaginable depth and power. Beneath this tranquil facade lies a realm of mystery and danger, where history's secrets are buried in the abyss. The Indianapolis, having just completed a top-secret mission delivering components for the atomic bomb, was sailing unescorted through the Philippine Sea. This mission, shrouded in secrecy, was a pivotal moment in the closing chapters of World War II. July 30th, 1945, just after midnight. The date would soon be etched into the annals of naval history. The Indianapolis sliced through the dark waters, the hum of her engines the only sound disturbing the stillness of the night. The crew, unaware of the lurking danger, went about their duties, oblivious to the impending disaster. Unbeknownst to her crew, a Japanese submarine, the I-58, lurked beneath the surface, its torpedoes armed and ready. The submarine's crew, trained and prepared, awaited the perfect moment to strike. 2 torpedoes, their deadly intent concealed by the darkness, slammed into the Indianapolis's starboard side. The impact was sudden and catastrophic, leaving the crew in a state of shock and chaos. The explosions, deafening roars that tore through the night, ripped a gaping hole in the cruiser's hull, sending shockwaves throughout the ship. The once mighty vessel was now a scene of devastation and despair. Those who managed to escape the sinking ship found themselves adrift in the vast expanse of the Pacific, their ordeal far from over. The ocean, which had once been their ally, was now an unforgiving adversary. Exposed to the elements, dehydration, and the constant threat of shark attacks, the survivors clung desperately to life rafts, their hopes dwindling with each passing hour.
Chapter 8, Lajula overloaded and undersaved. The Gambia River, a vital artery flowing through the heart of Senegal, connecting communities and sustaining life. The Lajula, a Senegalese government-owned ferry, was making its regular journey from Ziguinchor in the Casamance region to the capital, Dakar. Overcrowded with passengers and cargo, The ferry was a disaster waiting to happen. High winds and rough seas battered the overloaded ferry, causing it to list dangerously to one side. The ferry, her hull now a watery tomb, sank beneath the waves, taking with her countless souls. The Lejula disaster, a tragedy compounded by negligence and a lack of adequate safety measures, stands as a stark reminder of the importance of maritime safety and the human cost of complacency. These were some of the horrifying episodes of the most dangerous shipwrecks in history. If you like our video, don't forget to like and subscribe.